Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another tutorial on ISTQB Advance Test Manager certification. We are in chapter 1 talking about the testing process and continuing ahead with the next topic or the last topic of this chapter, that is 1.8 test closure activities. Now, as a part of the test closure activities, we do understand that we have already performed all the activities which were planned, and we have even met the exit criteria in order to deliver the product what it is supposed to deliver. And of course, we are basically done with signing off with the activities of testing and entire testing lifecycle as well. Now, what exactly does stand for test closure activities? So this can also be referred to like something related to retrospective as a part of the agile methodology, or even called as post-mortem activities, where generally the person is dead but still you want to investigate the reason behind the person's death and what kind of failures would have happened. And it is basically to gain some understanding in order to improvise yourself. For example, when a patient comes to you and you tried saving him being a doctor, and no matter how you tried with different medications and different equipments to measure the things, but still the person died. Of course, you want to measure that what exactly was the root cause behind the death, and of course you want to improvise your experience to save your upcoming patients and casualties. And of course, the same way here, we do gather all necessary informations, or any kind of any sort of mistakes you would have done as a part of your process to improvise yourself in the upcoming cycles in order to see that you don't perform or don't do the same mistakes once again. So here are certain major activities which we generally perform as a part of our life cycle, and this particular activity, that is test closure phase. And some of the standard or major important activities are like test completion check, to measure that what exactly you were supposed to do and you have done those or not, because a lot of times we finish the testing, but of course there are certain documentation or certain reporting which need to be done in order to submit that as a deliverable to the customer. So you need to make sure that have you done all those things which you were supposed to do, or are you willing to skip any of the work products or any of the deliverables? Then is it in the agreed limit or not? For example, you're talking about the test cases which you have executed, but some of the test cases were not executed because they were less prior, or it was related to a particular risk which is already mitigated. Thus, it does not require any further execution. So those kind of things must be well documented in order to let your customer know that these are the things which we have skipped and these are the reasons for that. So yes, of course, the test completion check will tell you more about those things which you need to capture in form of documentation to address. Plus, in fact, there are a lot of things which are resolved during the execution, like the defects which you find have been resolved. Whether all the defect resolution has been checked again or not, that is called as confirmation testing, or in fact called as retesting in general language. And as a result of this change, there might be different scope for the regression execution. So you need to make sure that you are also done with performing all those things. The second important activity is test artifact handover. Of course, and the moment you complete your activities, the next thing is, of course, the maintenance of the product, and the maintenance team will take care of it. So, of course, the maintenance team should be aware of what exactly you used as a part of the test artifact, including the test data, test cases, test environment, test infrastructure, or any kind of, the test condition orientation, the techniques, approaches, no matter the test tools, in fact, no matter what you have used in order to finally complete this product or validate this particular product, should be shared with the maintenance team. Because once it is released, of course, the maintenance team will look forward to any of the things which were undone during the process, or probably any of the features which we could not implement, or even if you talk about any of the new updates or upgrades which happens on the product after your first release, will be taken care by the maintenance team, because maintenance team is something which deals with updates, upgrades, migration, and retirement of the product, and that we know from the foundation. Well, the third important thing is the lessons learned, which is the most important thing of the test completion phase, where generally we sit together and conduct retrospective or retros, where we discuss with each other and understand that what typically went wrong, what could have been prevented, what could have been mitigated much earlier in the life cycle to avoid unforeseen situations which actually occurred. So not only that, if in case you do not have any unforeseen situation, but how you can further optimize the way you work, because you might have delivered it, but there were some kind of glitches which were involved. Probably you didn't have enough time to fix all the defect maybe at the end of the life cycle, or maybe you had some of the codes which were not tested precisely just because of the time pressure, right? So you do consider all these factors in order to give that confidence to all the team members that next time we make sure that we start the activities a little earlier and should have enough time to accommodate these last minute glitch. So even these informations will be directly reported, whatever you gather as a part of the lessons learned, to the test manager, because test manager must be informed that how exactly the plan was beneficial to them and how exactly this is going to help them in future or not. If there is any kind of optimization required, then what is that optimization? Similarly, there are certain questions which even can be answered during this phase or this lessons learned checkpoint. That is, was the user representation in the quality risk analysis session a broad enough cross section? Now, this question basically means that how exactly the contribution of the customer collaboration was helpful in discovering various risk items. Because the customer could definitely be very, very helpful to you to determine what exactly the requirement is and what could turn into the risk when being used by the end users. So, of course, there might be a lot of things which might not be predicted, but if you have a customer collaboration, can really help you a lot. So what end-to-end information did your customer provide in order to detect those unforeseen or unanticipated defect clusters within your product, which will generally help you to determine a broader number of test cases or broader coverage of the application? The second question which you can ask is, where the estimates accurate? Of course, we call it as test estimation, where we estimate the effort and the cost and the budget required to do an activity. But of course, at the end of the day, it is still an estimate. So you actually measure that how much you have spent, how much time did you really require at the actual, and how much effort did you really require or spend actually when working on these sort of activities. Because at the end of the day, if you see that your estimates were far, far away from the actuals, then things are not going good, right? You need to be more smart or probably having a good exposure or involve more people to contribute when you are doing estimation. Next question is like, when you talk about what are the trends and the results of cause and effect analysis of the defects. For example, assess if the late change request affected the quality of the analysis and development. Look for the trends that indicate bad practices. For example, skipping a test level which would have found defects earlier and in a more cost-effective manner. For perceived savings of time as well. Now, checking if defect trends could be related to areas such as new technologies, staffing changes, or lack of skills which you have within your organization or within your testing team to improvise further. Again, next one is, are the potential process improvement opportunities, that there is some specific opportunity to further improvise your process or not. Similarly, were there any unanticipated variations from the plan that should be accommodated in future planning or not? So of course, all sort of these kind of things would be actually answered during your lessons learned sessions when you sit together and discuss all those things, what actually happened throughout and what you could have avoided, prevented to happen, and you could have actually improved. And if things were out of your control, you make a note of it and suggest to your test manager to try to improve further in upcoming projects, because you don't want to be late every time, right? Last but not the least, there is another segment which we cover as a part of test closure activity, which is archiving the results, logs, reports, and other documentations and work products in the configuration management system, which generally helps you to have a reference as a kind of resource which would help you to learn at least from the information that what you gathered and what exactly you did. And in case you're looking forward to create a copy of that, or probably you're creating the next version of that, of course these information will definitely sound really great to understand that how exactly the architecture was built and what exactly you did, how you can further add more value to it, and a lot many other things. So it's very, very important for a test manager especially to gather all these collections and make sure that we take necessary actions right from the upcoming sprint. So, yes, these tasks are very important, often missed, and should be explicitly included as a part of the test plan. That a test manager should consider that these activities should take place at the end of the life cycle so that we can actually collect a lot of information and gather certain matrices to capture in order to improvise your upcoming projects and upcoming cycles. Well, that was all from this particular phase, test closure activities. Yet this is very important, so make sure that you have a very good grip on this, because you will be getting some good number of questions from this chapter, and you don't want to miss any one of them. Well, that's all from this particular episode, team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to respond to your query and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video, team, and happy learning.